Good evening. Good evening. Give people a few minutes to jump on before we start. Hello, Patrice. Thank you for joining. No, I can't hear you. I can just see your comments. I'm glad that you're on tonight. So, Patrice, because you are a client of mine, I just want to. The topic of this discussion tonight is what do I need to know to create a website? You already have a website and in the process of creating a couple more. Hey, Corey, thanks for joining. You had in the process of creating a couple more. Can you type in the chat? What's something that you want to know about creating a website? Hey, Ashley, thank you for joining, sis. Congratulations on the start of your business. I'm excited for you. So I just wanted to jump on live and start this new series. So to give you a little context of where I'm coming from, I'm putting together a classroom series of packaging my knowledge and sharing what I know about the internet and what's been the most questions that I've gotten that I've been asked about technology and digital marketing, kind of DIY, starting it yourself. And I just wanted to start a series to kind of get some questions about what you want to know and how what you need to know in order to create a website and creating a web presence. There are a few things that you'll need to know going in, whether you're going to build it yourself or you're going to hire a marketing team to do it for you. Those are some of the things that we'll talk about and that I want to talk about, and what things you want to know if you're doing it yourself, and what things that you need to take to your developer if you're having them build it for you. Some of the things, thanks Patrice for typing in the comments. So her first question is, how do I make my website appeal to people? Content is king. The thing that's most appealing to people is one thing is it being aesthetically pleasing. People like sites that look good, and also having the information that they need to know on the website. If they don't have to hunt around for it, to be able to get to the questions that they have in their minds when they come to your website. I'd like to think of a website being the one-stop shop for all the information is contained, the most pertinent information for the clients that you're seeking and the people who want to find out of your business. That's where they're going to go. So you need to make sure and making sure that information is up to date and current. And just to be able to see something different, I definitely suggest making sure you're sharing tips and tricks and blog posts whenever you can to keep the content fresh. That's one of the things that can appeal to a broader audience. The next question I see is, do I need to consistently add content daily, weekly, or monthly? Again, having new content is beneficial. I think that depends on your audience. With you being a magazine, I know that you have a magazine business. So for your magazine business, you'll definitely want to have content on your site at least on a weekly basis. Keep your readers engaged. Give them something to want to go and purchase the magazine about. Share a bit of the articles, some of what they get when they purchase a magazine. Also, you also need to know know the different audiences that you're targeting with your content on your website. So knowing whether people are purchasing from you, whether you want partners and sponsors, and making sure that you have content that speaks to all those audiences, and the right delivery for those audiences. So those are just some of the things that keep your content updated and appealing, right? Hey, are the tools on the internet to assist you with content? No matter what are some of the tools? Are there tools on the internet to assist you with content, no matter what the product? There are, depends on what you're looking for, but there's definitely tools for pretty much everything you want to do. I would say for content writing, for creating content, which is always the hard part, right? If you're not a writer, and knowing how to speak to those audiences, I would use services. There are a lot of freelance writers out there and writing companies, and I believe there's some apps out there as well, or subscriptions that you can buy that can give you kind of canned content for your website. One of the tools, one of the spaces that I've used is guru.com, because those are freelance writers, people in the business who've been doing this for a while, who's written a lot of content. It's sort of like the upgrade to Fiverr. It's a lot less junk there, and you can find a pretty decent writer on there as well. So the key is knowing what you need content for. If you're looking for marketing content or content for your website, you can even find ghostwriters for ebooks on guru.com. Also, if you're looking for, if you have a more in-depth website and looking for more appealing content that's going to be specific to your brand, I would hire someone who's going to do the deep dive and get into the discussion with you about who you are, what your brand is, what your message is, and deliver it in your voice, or the voice that brands your company. Ashley says, what is the first step to creating a website on my own? So that is a great question. The first step is knowing what you want in a website. Knowing your why. Why do you need a website? If it's just to validate your business, and you don't have plans to do any selling on it, it's basically just an online flyer. You can build a site very quickly and inexpensively on some of the free online tools like Wix or Weebly. They have very beautiful templates that are pre-assembled. It's pretty much plug and play. You just drop in your content, drop in your pictures, and it puts it together beautifully. That's a great way to get started. And then, as your site, your business starts to grow, there's add-ons that you can add to those products to kind of get it to where you want to go. The only thing with that is that with those add-ons, they can get kind of pricey, and the more you add on, the more you're going to be paying each month. And at that point, you want to count the cost of whether I should be going with this prefab tool that I'm paying this much amount for, or do I want to hire a developer to build out a website that can do all the things that I want to do, have one set price, pay for the maintenance on it, and not paying a monthly fee for all these tools that you can have run yourself. It's about looking at your return on investments, and also how much money is going out and coming in each month. Absolutely. So I wanted to, and that was a great question, Ashley, because I wanted to talk about that in particular, because that's usually the first thing that people ask me is, how do I build a website, or how do I get started for the least amount of money? The thing about the prefabbed solutions is that they're great. Like I said, they can get you in and out really quickly, as long, you can have canned content or no content at all and just have a lot of pictures. The thing about it is that the validity of your business, if you're looking for funders or someone to sponsor your business, or need a grant, it's less likely that they'll take you seriously If I can say that, if you have a prefab site, because if you're not willing to invest in your own business, why should I invest in you, kind of thing. Um, so that would be one reason why you want to hire a developer or hire a development team to be able to build a more robust website. Yeah, it can be more beneficial to build it for you, have someone build it for you in the long run. However, if you are just getting started, you know, I would say one thing I would say, especially because of the power of social media, run your business on social media first. Build up your content. Know what your brand is. Know what your customers are. That gives you an understanding of what you need on your website to do, so that when you're ready to sit down across the table for somebody building your site, you can speak to those questions, because some of the things that they're going to ask is, who's your target audience, what does your customer base look like, or the questions that they should be asking is who your target audience is, what do your customers look like, um, uh, why do people, who are your followers. Those are the type of questions, because a website should be tailored to the people who are visiting. A lot of times, some developers will develop for the client versus their customers, and the website is really for the customer. And that's the thing that, as a customer, you have to think about too, right? You can say, I want flying monkeys, but your customers don't like flying monkeys, so don't put flying monkeys on your website. These are good questions, guys. So another thing that to have when you're sitting in across the table from a developer, is your branding. Knowing whether or not you need branding. Do you have a logo? What are your colors? Why you have those colors? Those are some of the things that a brand specialist can speak to you about. Listen to the experts. I would definitely recommend listen to the experts, because marketing is a science. There's some psychology around it. So and they take a lot of time in knowing what that psychology is and knowing how to speak to your audiences. So definitely take the lead of the consultant or of the people who are speaking to you about what you should be doing on your site. Um, I have an existing website with Wix, but want to change the name of my company. Is this something that can be done, or do I need to create a new website with the new name of the company? So the question, if you're changing the name of the company just in text, you don't need to change the website. If you're thinking about changing the name of the domain, which is what you type into the location bar, the www.mycompany.com, that is a matter of buying the new domain and then pointing the new domain to whatever system you're using, whether it's Wix or Weebly or WordPress. Yeah, so it's purchasing a new domain name. If that domain name is available, purchase the new domain name, and you should be able to change out the domain name on Wix. I think I've done that a couple of times for clients, and it's a panel where you can put in the new domain name that you're switching to. Now, here's the catch about changing names when you're building a website or upgrading your website or changing your domain name. Um, when someone is searching for you and they might know you by your old name, it's good to keep that old domain sitting for a while as a redirect, so that when people ping that, they still get to your new address, and you don't get lost. I actually went through that about a year ago. I changed my domain name because creativeconsulting.com was kind of long and I have a hyphen in it, and it was kind of hard for people to get to, and I shortened it to get creative. But you can still get to my website if you type in creativeconsulting.com. So that was a great question. Let's talk about that. So, other things that you'll need. So you'll need to purchase a domain name. which also something that you might be able to go through Wix to do. They offer domain names. The only thing about that I've noticed about Wix, and I don't know if this has changed because I don't build a lot of sites in Wix, but if you purchase a domain name with them, it's a little more challenging to export if you decide to upgrade your site to like a WordPress or another CMS, which is a content management system, which is what websites are built on. It may be a little difficult to move that domain outside of that. If you purchase it through Wix, I usually purchase domain names through GoDaddy. They tend to be, the prices tend to be the same across the board. You can try a couple of different ones to see if there's someone that sells them cheaper. But GoDaddy is my go-to for just domain names. I don't use them for hosting, but they are their customer service is pretty spot on and great to use. So domain name hosting is the next thing that you'll need, and that is the physical location of where your website sits. So the website is just a series of files and put together and organized and presented through a web browser. There has to be a physical computer where those files sit. And it's either going to be on a box on somebody's machine or in a storage facility that has cloud computing and cloud storage, trying to simplify it. So knowing where your website is going to be hosted. If you're going with Wix, they'll host your site. If you're going with someone else, if you're having it built from scratch, hosting will be something that you'll either purchase from that vendor or purchase on your own. And that vendor will be able to tell you and make recommendations what's best for you according to your budget and your plan. Having branding, a domain name, hosting, knowing what you're going to do with your email. A lot of people set up a Gmail account. Is the usual tactic. You set up a Gmail account that has your company name at gmail.com. I actually use Google Workspace, which used to be Google Suite. And because I don't have a lot of people that I need to have domain emails at my domain. So I pay for, an email box that's essentially Google, and I use all the Google tools for scheduling, file share, etc. And I pay like $5 a month per email address for that, just because I only purchase a domain name and I don't have email hosting. You can purchase hosting with email. It tends to be a little bit of overkill, but at least for most of my clients, because most of my clients don't want to have to deal with all of that. They just want to, want the site built and have it hosted and all of that. But if you want to be able to manage your own email addresses and have several email addresses, and you're okay with managing that kind of back-end administrative stuff, or having to think about it, some hosts that I can recommend are GoDaddy, Bluehost, and some of the bigger names that are big on multi-level hosting. So that takes care on the administrative end. That's knowing what your domain name is, knowing what your branding is, and that includes if you have a logo or not. You definitely need a logo. It helps it's for your brand, just having something. And think about different shapes for your logos, right? Because you want your logo to look good, whether it's in a square or in a circle presented. So make sure it looks good in all of those aspects. Make sure that it's big. I would recommend making sure that you have the vector files if you can get it for your logo. That gives more flexibility to the developers for what they can do with the logo and where they can place it. Have it in not just in color, but also monochromatic. So like in all white or all black, where so that it shows up, it can show up on all different types of backgrounds, making sure that it's that you have a transparent version of your logo. And what that means is that you can drop your logo on any type of background and it shows up, not with a white box behind it. That's also necessary for when you're building a website. uh, Photos. You can definitely use stock photography. Starting out, there's some free sites like Pixabay, where you can download uh, uh, imagery and stock photos for free without having to worry about licenses. Um, I would recommend I recommend that, but I would also recommend, like, if you are the front person for your business, or you do a service oriented business, or you have products for your business, use your own images. Don't just use the stock photography, because at a certain point people can say, that looks staged, that doesn't, or you don't want them to wonder, is that what they're selling? Make sure that your that the images represent your company and who you are, especially if you have a services based organization. My background is working with nonprofits, and one of the things that I love to see on nonprofit sites is the images of the work that they do, the people that they work with, and seeing that in real time versus a stock photo of something like what they do is a lot more appealing to the audience than a stock photo of a great photographer who had a beautiful eye of something that doesn't make sense. Any what other questions we have? Oh, Patrice, thank you. She says this is great information. Appreciate that. All right. Um, so that's pretty much all I had today for creating what you need to know for creating websites. Those are the things that I definitely wanted to touch on. Knowing what kind of site you need, what things you need to have a website, and know whether or not you want to start out with something like Wix or go bigger. One of the things that'll come out of this is that if you decide to build your own website, I'm going to put together a training package, a training on how to build your website in Wix, and then I'm going to do one on how to build a website on WordPress or another CMS. I haven't decided. WordPress is probably is the one that I use the most, so I'll probably start there. Um, but definitely going to do one of those. Do I offer one-on-one consultation? I absolutely do. There is you can book me if you go to my link to my Facebook page on creative consulting. There is a book me button there, and you can schedule a free consultation for 30 minutes, and we can talk about whatever you need to talk about concerning your business. Um, so when I do those trainings, those will be in the Learn Creative group. Um, and if you haven't joined the group there yet or haven't gotten an invitation, if you're following my page, you'll get one soon. I want that to be a community where I can kind of share this type of information with people, so that you'll know. Next week, I plan on talking about creating social graphics, what tools I use, some things and tips and tricks to know for creating social graphics. And if you have ideas for topics and things that you want to know about digital marketing, and DIY, do it yourself digital marketing, please just drop it in the chat, shoot me an email, come to my page, drop it on my page, inbox me. I'd love to hear your feedback and let me know if this was helpful at all. Great. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. I'm glad that this is good for you. Any other questions we have for today? Awesome. I'm glad it was helpful. I'm so glad. So, questions. How long have you been in business? It for people who have businesses. Can you just drop in and let me know how long have you been in business, and how have you been doing your digital marketing? Let me know. Is it DIY? Do you hire a company? How's your marketing, your digital marketing going? Awesome. I'll be looking forward to it. Um, Also, uh, if you do have digital marketing, if you are running the company, if you have a website, you have Instagram, Facebook, uh, TikTok, whatever you're using for your business to get the word out. Um, do me a favor and Google yourself. This is going to be another topic that's going to come down, and I hope that you'll come back to these series. I'm going to be touching on all points of um, creating your digital assets. So Google yourself and let me know what kind of results you come back with. Like what information about your company are you coming back with? So that'll come in handy when we go down the line and do some more of these. Um, well, you said you've been in business, been doing it 5 years DIY. Yeah, it does take a lot of time. Um, it is very time consuming. One of the things that I want to do is talk about. I'll also do a video about this. Is some of the tools that you can use to kind of manage um, producing producing your social assets. Not only producing but also scheduling them out. So we'll talk about that on a later chat as well. Patrice, it's not bad. It's just consistency. So this is like with everything in this, and I'm preaching it to myself too. Consistency is the key. We live in a world where people are inundated with a lot of information and a lot of digital stimuli. So the more consistent you are, the more that you get in front of people and let them know what you're doing, the more you're keeping them in the front of keeping you in the front of their mind. In addition to having a great product, reminding people that your product is great and it's available. All right. We got about 2 more minutes. Don't want to keep y'all long. I know this is like right after quitting time for work, right before dinner time. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for rocking with me tonight. Thank you for joining. I hope you got to hear what you wanted to know. And we'll be back next Wednesday. Like I said, if you have any questions about anything, drop them in my DM, hit me up on my page, or book a consultation with me. I look forward to speaking with you all. Until then, have a good night, everybody.